Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that right now. Hit that subscribe button right below. Minnesota Vikings at the Seattle Seahawks. It's Sunday, 4:05. Seahawks favored by 10.5 here. The Seahawks are 8-3, going against the 4-7 Vikings, and J.J. McCarthy is now in concussion protocol. Symptoms after the game, one of those deals.
Yeah.
And so it looks like he's probably out this week in Max Brosmer time.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has played this year the immediate game following being in the concussion protocol.
There was one, I believe.
Really? I thought it was over at this point. Anyway,
I
very
thought
likely.
there was one, but most people are at least missing 1 week.
Correct. Very likely.
I think there was only one that came back in 1 week, actually, is what it was. And
Yes.
a lot of Stroud's taken 4 weeks, and
Right.
a lot of quarterbacks have taken more than one.
Yeah, I believe that's true. I don't think anybody has come back within the week, and that's what he would have to do. So, yeah, we are likely seeing Max Brosmer / Brosmer. Should probably learn his name if he's going to be starting the game.
One of these days. We'll see whatever they say on Sunday.
Against the Seattle Seahawks defense, which is formidable, dominant, complicated to diagnose from an offensive point of view, and, yeah, definitely going to cause some problems.
And, of course, the Sam Darnold revenge game on the other side.
Yeah.
For those who don't, we say revenge game for any player who used to play for a team. Doesn't mean that they literally have revenge in their eyes. But, you know, the guys that said, we're going with JJ. We're not going to give you the big contract, Sam.
Yeah.
That's who he gets to play against here.
Look, there's going to be a lot of revisionist history, and this is an unfortunate narrative game for that from the Vikings' perspective. Like, they're going to be seeing the player that they had and that they could have had again, and decided to turn to spurn in favor of J.J. McCarthy and go in a different direction. It's like, yeah, but I don't think you can look at the way that season ended last year and say this was obvious. Of course this is going to happen. Darnold is going to grade like the best quarterback in the NFL, and the guy that you drafted in the first round is going to play like garbage, and this is an idiotic decision. Like, Darnold imploded in those last 2 games in a way that is, I think, fairly unprecedented. I don't know if that's ever happened again in NFL history, where a guy has played that well for basically an entire season, and then right at the end in the 2 most important games, didn't just regress, but curled into a ball in a fetal position and cried. That's basically what Darnold did at the end of those 2 games.
Devin McCourty.
And I honestly think that changed their decision. I think they would have brought him back if he hadn't done that. But because he did, I think it was a fair call to say, let's fix the offensive line that was part of his implosion. Let's turn the keys over to the rookie because Kevin O'Connell's been really good at this. I think that's a reasonable thing to do. Unfortunately for them, it hasn't worked out. In fact, it's been as bad as it could possibly have gone, and they're very likely to just get wrecked by Sam Darnold and his new team this week.
This is what I was looking for. Eric Galko from East West Shrine Game, just to give some context on Max Brosmer, who was the quarterback at the University of Minnesota via UNH. He was at the Shrine Game last year, and Galko put out his impressive trio of QB metrics per Wilson, the football maker, tracking these metrics. They had release times and MPH and the whole thing. So he had a release time during Shrine Week of 0.4. NFL average is 0.45. So Chris, get him on the tracer. He had an average velocity of 50 miles an hour, with the NFL average being 44.8. An average of over 600 plus RPM, with the NFL average being 592. So he's at least an average NFL arm and release, or slightly better. And that's what you're going to see here.
Okay.
For whatever it's worth, I'm trying to bring something to the table here for what the backup Vikings quarterback is going to be showing this week.
So we're talking about somebody who has at least NFL physical tools. He's 6'2", 218-ish is his listed weight. So these are all NFL benchmarks.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's what is going up against the Seattle defense. Good luck.
Yes. That's the big problem. Like, on the one hand, if this was against basically any other defense in the NFL, you would say, look, it can't really be much worse than what J.J. McCarthy is doing right now, even though I agree with you, he isn't playing as badly as, like, this is the worst all-time production in the NFL that we've ever seen, right? Which is, some of the numbers are in that area, right? The worst thing we've ever seen was Jamarcus Russell playing football. The second worst thing we've ever seen is J.J. McCarthy.
That's the production numbers, the EPA numbers.
Yes. I don't think it's that bad. It is, however, bad. And I would say it's bad enough that there's a pretty healthy chance that Max Brosmer is probably an upgrade at this point. at least in a short sample size. Against Seattle's defense, though, I don't know if that's going to be the case. And a big thing is going to be, is that offensive line in any way healthy? Is Darisaw nursing an injury through the entire season? Or is he back healthy in the lineup? Was that just a 1 week blip? I mean, that offensive line needs to do a good job this week because they're going to want to try and run the ball. Presumably, they're not going to ask Brosmer, God damn it, to do that much.
Max.
Temu Paxton Lynch. I mean, it just feels like it's going to be a rough day for that offense.
Max will have some open receivers, I still think, though, even against Seattle.
Really?
Yeah. He'll have some opportunities here.
Okay.
It's still a good offense with good receivers. And we'll have, if he has a good game, we'll roll in Monday morning saying, oh, what does this mean? What does this mean for JJ? And let me just really quickly here. Some interesting discussions. Remember, Kevin O'Connell said, hey, organizations fail quarterbacks, right? Not the quarterback themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And my football analytics class that I do for SMWW, I had a great question last night. Somebody said, how long do you give quarterbacks to develop if you're a team? And I said, my answer, I think, is worth the show, bringing to the show. I said, my answer is like the team's number one goal isn't to maximize the development of the quarterback. That's not their goal. Their number one goal is to win. Now, maximizing the development of the young quarterback usually coincides with that goal. But like Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell have a decision to make at the end of the year here. We want to win. What's the best way to win? And so you have to stack J.J. McCarthy, Max, right next to the quarterbacks in the draft, Kyler Murray, Bryce Young as a reclamation project. Like, you're stacking all of these other options to maximize your wins for the Minnesota Vikings versus how much do we try to create this environment where J.J. McCarthy can develop. And so it's just an interesting discussion here. And if Max has a good game or two or a little run here, and then all of the evidence is mounting that everybody who works with Kevin O'Connell, Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, Josh Dobbs off the waiver wire, Max Brosmer, if they all do well except J.J. McCarthy, that's difficult. That's a difficult one because it should be a decent offense given the playmakers, the play caller, and everything that they have there.
Yeah, and they're also not, I mean, they're not necessarily aligned when it comes to how long into the future you're looking. Like, the best thing for a long-term success is your development of the young quarterback who can then lead you for the next 10, 15 years. The best thing to win next week might be something different, right? And that's the challenge. It depends
on the life cycle of the coach and the GM and this year, right? Like this coming year.
That's the challenge, I think, that the Vikings have right now, which is based off how he's playing right now, it's very unlikely, I think, that J.J. McCarthy is the best chance they have to win games in any given week. But the best thing for the long-term success of the Minnesota Vikings is the guy they drafted in the first round is a good quarterback going forward. Now, maybe that gets more complicated if Max Brosmer shows something and he could become their Brock Purdy. But, again, I just don't think that's going to happen this week.
All right, man. Seattle by what? 10.5. Where are you going to go?
I think they roll, and this is the narrative game that the Vikings don't want.
I'm taking all the dogs. Minnesota as the underdog. Max makes some plays, and then you've got this Brian Flores versus Darnold dynamic. Flores going to get him a couple times. A couple turnovers in there to keep it close enough. I'll take Minnesota to cover the 10.5.
Well, that's an interesting wrinkle, right? We haven't seen Darnold against Flores.
Yeah.
Because, same team and stuff.
And sometimes you say, oh, they saw each other in practice all the time. That's not really true.
Right.
Right? It's true in training camp.
Yes.
But during the season, you don't face Brian Flores' defense. You face the scout team, right? So they had a couple weeks of training camp where they faced each other, and I don't even know if that means anything. Harry texted me live on the air, and he's like, just so you know, I'm taking Seattle. In case I missed it in the app, taking Seattle. I think he heard about the backup QB thing, and he's like, in case I accidentally took Minnesota, don't let me do that. I took Seattle.
But theoretically, the stuff what the Rams did, the Flores does a lot of the things that if you're trying to distill what caused Sam Darnold to melt down where every time he plays the Rams, I mean, they're very different defenses, but Flores does a lot of the things that Chula in Los Angeles does to cause Darnold to implode.
Yes.
So if you were trying to, how can we replicate that? the Vikings have a lot of the pieces that could replicate that.
Agreed. So that's why I'm taking Minnesota to keep it close. Harry, as he informed me, watching live, he's taking Seattle like you are.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a video.
You heard the man. Subscribe.